gear really doesn't matter. And this is something that I have been saying pretty much the entire time I've been making Darktide content. And the stream that we did earlier this morning, by the way, huge shout out to those of you who turned up, really did reinforce this for me. So just for context, what we were doing was I was having you guys, the viewers, suggesting weapons for me to take into a damnation. Now, they could have been anything. I had absolutely no restrictions on what they were. So for example, you know, we did an Ogrin with a shield, a slab shield, and a kickback. We also did a knife and revolver sharpshooter and so on and so forth. And we tried about 6 or 7 different variations of weapons, which were all just greys. And for the most part, very low rated greys, because I used Brunt's Armory, which just gives you a randomized version of a select weapon. And a lot of the time they were pretty damn bad. But even so, I managed to complete a damnation, and in most cases a damnation plus a modifier with relative ease, outside of like 1 or 2 high intensity shock troopers that I had, which were kind of difficult, but they are naturally. Yeah, for the most part, I really didn't have much of an issue whatsoever. And in some cases, I couldn't even tell that the weapons were just straight up greys. Then why am I bringing this up? Well, first of all, I just thought it was kind of interesting, and it reaffirms a thought process I've had about the game for quite a while, and I wanted to share that. But it's also because I see a lot of people that are trying to move up in difficulty or struggling with like certain modifiers get really stuck on their gear. And like they start to then look at crafting as an issue, that they look at the itemization as an issue. But really it doesn't matter all that much. You could literally go into a mission with full greys and green curios and perform much more than well enough to be able to do it. As a matter of fact, I know some people are probably going to make this argument in the video if they've even made it this far into it. But a lot of people will probably say, well, maybe you were carried by your team. There's 2 sort of, things that I can say in response to that. One, that can always happen. Regardless of how good your gear is, you may still just be bad and get carried. That's not unique to this situation. But secondly, the scoreboards that I'm showing on screen now, and also if you need to, you can see these full games on the FOD, which is on my channel under like live streams. You can see the full games, and I performed pretty well in most of them. Besides the slab shield and kickback, which was just a dreadful game. That's the weapon's fault, though. That wasn't the rarity. The slab shield is just that bad. But for the most part, I was scoring 2nd place or whatnot on the scoreboard. The scoreboard being a mod that allows me to just kind of get some sort of indication of how my performance was. But even if like I was last, if I was within at least a stone's throw of the other people in my team, then I still would have considered this to be pretty much the case, Maybe I wasn't playing my best, or even if I was, if the margin is like less than like 10%, then, it's really, not that much of a difference to be measured there. The second thing that I really want to sort of bring attention to, and again, I've been trying a lot in my videos to try and articulate this point, but it's that the blessings and the perks, they really just are not very interesting. Once you understand Darktide on a very precise level, there is again very little of interest. So like, for example, for me, with my point of view, there really is just no excitement in any of the gear. There's just, because I know for a fact that I could just complete the damnation that I'm going to be doing anyways with a grey. Whether it's transcendent or anything else, it doesn't matter to me. Everything is very vanilla. And what I would love to see from Darktide is more interesting weapon blessings that actually make some sort of difference to the way that the weapon, works. Now, I know what you're thinking. There are some that do make a difference, and that is true. I am aware of that. There are like blessings like brutal momentum, which can significantly change the way a weapon behaves. But what I'm trying to say is there's not enough of them that are kind of that impactful in the game, and I would love to see more. Now, another thing that I feel like this is bringing up is that the difficulty of the game comparative to our like power progression is so unbelievably flat. So if, for example, if I'm able to create a character, and I've done this, high intensity shock troop gauntlet, the absolute pinnacle of difficulty in the game that, is provided, I can quite comfortably do that with 2 random grey weapons that are not even high in the modifier rating, and 3 green curios, and then have my chat pick completely random feats for me. So the problem here for me is that it invalidates all of the hard work I've put into getting my gear and makes me feel like, you know, breaking my back to grind materials or to keep crafting for the perfect weapon really is just a meaningless waste of time, because it'd be much quicker for me just to jump into the mission and do it with whatever the hell that I had. Now, obviously, I appreciate that if the blessings and everything became much more powerful, then this problem would be even more exaggerated. You know, people would just be blasting through the hardest missions in the game like they were absolutely nothing. So, I understand that if they were to do this, then they would also need to up the difficulty, ceiling in the game, not only artificially through, I say artificially, but I mean just through like upping the numbers of enemy health pool and damage values, but I would hope, introduce new game modes, things that are much more challenging just by the nature of what they are. Things that I mention all of the time are like a survival horde mode. I would absolutely love to see something like that, and or something like a raid. I've said it a million times. I feel like these would just be absolutely god tier levels of content for the game. But, who knows? Maybe we will be getting these in the next patch. Time will tell. It's only tomorrow that we have to wait until to get the new comms link update. Now, this video topic is probably left a few people scratching their head. Those of you that are, struggling to get into Damnation, if the gear isn't the problem, then what is? What's stopping me from being able to step up to that? And my next video is hopefully going to answer that question for you. Now, it's a bit of a cliche title, but, the top tips and tricks to get into Damnation. I'll be covering all of the mechanics, the class specific things, weapon choices that are going to help you make that step up. Because even though the weapon themselves, like the quality of them, I'm saying isn't important, the actual combination of the two weapons that you pick can actually make a huge difference to how well you play during a match from fight to fight. If you don't want to miss that, but also if you want to actually catch me live streaming, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you get notifications of whenever those things happen. And if you liked this video, if you found it useful, don't forget to give it a like as well. Finally, for all of my social media, ways to support the channel, Discord and things like that, those can all be found down in the description below, along with a couple of my most recent video guides for the classes if you want to check those out. But yeah, dudes, until the next one, stay safe and I'll see you again soon. Peace.